Okay, I'm going to call the meeting of September 19th, 2017 to order.
The City of San Clemente respects the many people of different faiths who reside here. The City Council historically begins its session with an invocation offered by one of the religious leaders of our community, with full appreciation of our shared belief that we are one nation under God. And while the City cannot endorse any particular religion, we respect the religious freedom and freedom of expression of all our citizens to pray as they feel led to pray. This evening's invocation will be given by Jim Davis, Senior Chaplain with the Orange County Sheriff's Department.
Please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Shall we pray? Our gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful community of San Clemente. We pray your blessing upon our city leaders and upon our population. We pray your blessing especially on our children as they go back to school. Watch over and care for them, we pray. Bless the teachers, administrators. Watch over our deputies that are out protecting the community, also our firefighters, and all the families in this community. We thank you for your many blessings. In your precious name we pray. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilmember Donchak, Councilmember Ham, Mayor Pro Tem Brown, Mayor Ward,
Here.
and Councilmember Swartz is absent. First item on the agenda is an update by staff concerning the proposed toll road. Okay.
Okay, wait, hold on a second. I've asked the city attorney for an update.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor and Council. This action remains pending. Since your last meeting, we participated in a mandatory settlement conference where we presented the city's demands, which were taken from public statements the City Council has made in opposition to a toll road through San Clemente. And so we are prosecuting that case. Our commitment is to have it removed to Los Angeles County. So our efforts have been focusing on that. Today, it was characterized as a complex case by the Orange County Superior Court where it was first filed.
Thank you. Do we have any cards?
No.
No?
I was going to do it under council member comments, but should I do the toll road trek announcement under TCA? Yeah, do that. Is that okay to pull that up? Okay. So this Saturday, we are doing a toll road trek, and it's an educational, it's September 23rd from 9 to 10:30 a.m. We're meeting at the Forester Ridgeline Trail at Avenida La Plata and Camino del Rio. Carpooling is recommended. This is an educational tour to celebrate the natural beauty of San Clemente, and it's kind of our off-season. It won't be looking like that picture you've got there from some of the beautiful spring activity. But Laura Ferguson, our information officer, and I did a run-through with the naturalist who will be on hand on Saturday, and I just wanted to share, well, first of all, let me tell you who he is. He is Joel Robinson, founder, executive director, and head naturalist for Naturalist for You, and he's guided thousands of people on wilderness tours since 2001, and he can tell you about himself when we meet. But after we did our walkthrough on Monday, here's just some of the things he found in our open space. Wand chicory, gnatcatchers, thrashers. We saw a snake track from possibly a red diamond rattlesnake, native bees on wand chicory, prickly pear cactuses ripening, and so forth and so on. So there's a lot to celebrate in terms of our open space here in San Clemente, and it's a 2.5-mile walk. It's on a dirt path. It is not good for strollers, but dogs on leashes are encouraged, and water is encouraged. And even if you just come to the beginning at 9 o'clock, I think you'll be excited and kind of proud about our natural open space. And Tom Vonnegut will be on hand to talk about 2 of the alignments that are proposed by the Transportation Corridor Agency that would divide our community. And so if you're kind of curious where the thinking is, we'll be sharing 2 of those possible routes as part of the hike. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is presentation of a proclamation to Kaylin Wade of the International Dyslexia Association declaring the month of October as Dyslexia Awareness Month.
Is Kaylin present? No. Okay,
Okay.
so we'll hold off on that, make sure that they get that.
Okay. Members of the audience who wish to address council on matters that are within the jurisdiction of the City of San Clemente, but not separately listed on the agenda, may do so during the oral communications portion of the meeting. A total time limitation of 30 minutes is allocated for oral communications part 1, with each speaker being allotted 3 minutes, which to give his or her presentation. And I do have some cards.
Okay. So I'm going to call 3 names at a time. Please line up behind each other. First speaker is Mickey Rathman. Second speaker is Dr. Steve Cullen. And third speaker is Mike, I think it's Majors. And I only have one more card, so I will say that Lynn Stanley is the last speaker.
Hey, good evening, Mayor Ward, council members, friends, and neighbors. My name's Mickey Rathman. I am a local resident and a small business owner and a proud member of the Pure Pride organization, which is a nonprofit group in San Clemente that raises money and awareness to make improvements and maybe add some new fun stuff to our beloved San Clemente Pier. And I'm here this evening to talk to you about Pure Pride Month. There has been a lot going on over probably the last year to 18 months, and that our group has raised quite a sum of money. And you may know and have noticed that the pier is getting painted, which is very exciting and getting a bit of a facelift. So we're very proud of our activities there. But we do have a lot more things on the list that we hope to accomplish. So during the month of October, we have a number of fundraisers that are taking place. For those of us who like to dine out occasionally, during the month of October, Wahoo's Tacos, Chipotle, and Blaze Pizza are all doing fundraisers to help benefit Pure Pride, where you can go and have something yummy to eat and have a portion of the proceeds of your meal go to our organization. We also have on October 13th the Light Up the Pier, our second annual, which was really fun to shine the light of Ole Hansen's vision from the Casa Romantica down to the pier and back, highlighting 2 of our beloved locations here in town. And then we also have our kickoff event, which is going to be a very special dinner where you can actually eat at sea level, practically on the sand at Fisherman's Restaurant. It's not very often that you have the opportunity to do that, to sit and have a fine dining experience, looking at the ocean, sitting right there, and taking in our beloved coast. So that stuff is happening. And the reason that I'm here tonight is that one of the ways that we're able to do such great work with this organization is due to awareness. And so I'm here on behalf of the Pure Pride organization to ask our council if you would make October officially Pure Pride Month to help us to raise awareness and generate additional funds for our cause. Yep. So while you're pondering that, I may just highlight this dinner one more time, especially for our friends at home. Hi, neighbors. You can go online to purepride.org to get your tickets to this dinner. It is $150 per person, and you may say, wow, oh my gosh, that's quite a bit more than going to get a burrito bowl at Chipotle. But it is for an amazing cause and a really special experience to have at Fisherman's, not in the restaurant, but down next to the galley, so you're right next to the sand and the ocean. We have an amazing local chef who's preparing this meal for us. There's going to be a cigar lounge and some silent auction opportunities as well to kick off this great month.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Absolutely.
If we do agendize this to give you a proclamation
Yes.
For Pure Pride, do we contact you?
Yeah, you can contact myself.
Okay.
There's also other board members, but here I am, so I think
Okay.
I'm the one.
Last question, on the days where the restaurants are giving up proceeds of the dinner to Pure Pride, does that include
Yes.
takeout?
It does include takeaway. It's all day at Wahoo's, takeaway, at Blaze and at Wahoo's. And Wahoo's is all day, lunch and
Great.
dinner.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you very much.
Dr. Cullen.
Hello again. So I'm here because people tend to have a short memory, unfortunately, and Peter Bastone wrote an an editorial a few weeks ago, and it started with a statement. The very first sentence started when the city council forced the closure of Saddleback Memorial Hospital, which is just an amazingly infuriating and ridiculous statement. But again, people have a short memory, and I came here simply just to point out a couple of facts in case people forget. The Memorial actually announced closure of the hospital in August of 2014, long before this body took any action to change the zoning on the land. They really had no middle ground. They had no intent to save the emergency room. It wasn't until Senator Bates and Assemblyman Breaux and this body decided to try and put forth legislation to save the emergency room and put the weight of all three of those bodies behind it that the hospital decided to join that fight. And for 15 months, we were all strange bedfellows and fought that fight, and we went up to Sacramento, and Sacramento came to us. And it was only after 15 months of you guys fighting for that on behalf of Memorial that you went to Memorial and said, okay, we lost that fight, give us a year. Let us keep it open for a year, let us find somebody else to operate it, and then you guys can do whatever you want. Memorial said no, and it was at that point that this body changed the zoning and said you can have a hospital or you can have nothing, and Memorial, of course, said we'll take nothing. Memorial filed a $42.5 million lawsuit against the city, claiming that you had devalued their land, a strange statement when you consider that they had 6 offers to buy the property at the time that they filed the lawsuit. Memorial Care, you will remember, is a 501c3 nonprofit organization registered with the Attorney General of California as such. They have 50 employees that average over $600,000 each. For the year of finances that I submitted to this body, the chair of their foundation made $1.9 million in a year when they gave out $600,000 in charitable contributions. In my opinion, this body has done nothing but back the hospital, try and save the hospital, or come up with other remedies that would provide people with just as safe and rapid access to emergency care. And I wanted people to remember that, and I wanted to thank you for that. Thank you.
Dr. Cullen, my favorite part, yeah, actually, it does deserve a hand. Thank you very much. My favorite part of that editorial was that it was also that because of the closure, now we needed to build a toll road immediately. To get us to mission faster. Right. That was one of the more fascinating aspects of the justification. So anyway, it was, I think it relies on people's short memories, and I'm glad that you showed up to give a little bit of perspective.
Thank you.
Dr. Cullen, thanks for coming out today. And before you sit down, I'm going to ask the city attorney to expound upon how the Skinner bill just went.
Yeah, when the hospital closed, it was the city's position that required the overt sign-off of the state, in particular the Attorney General. And so legislation passed the California legislature last week. It's sitting on the governor's desk that will require that, not only of all hospitals, but hospitals that closed during all of 2016. So that will apply retroactively to this closure and require the state sign-off. So we expect to pursue that and to engage with the Attorney General on that. It's part of our lawsuit.
Thank you again.
Thank you. Our last 2 speakers, Mike Majors and Lynn Stanley. Could you please come up?
Yes, first of all, I want to say how beautiful San Clemente is. I've been coming down here since 1959. I have a house on North Beach on Las Bolas, and it's just the most beautiful secret. I've always told people, I live in Los Angeles also, and I mention San Clemente to people, and they go, where's San Clemente? But it is a gem of a city. It's really beautiful. One of the things I really enjoy down here is when I'm down here is walking on the dog path. It is so nice down there, and so many people walking their dogs and everything else. How dog-friendly this city is. Water dishes out in a bunch of the front of the stores and everything else, and even give treats to the dogs when you go by. The thing that I would love to see, because they do have them in Huntington Beach, Newport Beach, Laguna Beach for the dogs on the beach. At certain times, North Beach really does have a nice area for that. I would like to see if you would consider to have access for dogs certain times or whatever. Majority of the dog owners are, believe it or not, I have my baggies in my pocket now that I pick up after my dog, and majority of the people, even walking down the dog path, you see everybody picks up after their dog. And I think people would be responsible enough to do that at the beach for their dogs. So I'd appreciate it if you'd give that some consideration. I've heard it's been brought before the council before, but I wasn't aware of the outcome of it. But I would really love to see you possibly reconsider that and allow dogs on the beach at certain times, certain areas, not open it totally up the entire beach. I'm talking about possibly sections above where the trailers are on North Beach, before the tennis courts up there where it's gated in. That would be an ideal spot. Or even when I was coming down there, the old Italian restaurant right there on the beach. We had an Italian restaurant right there. It was taken out in one of the storms. This goes back 40 years ago now, if not more. And that would be a nice little area, just a small area for people to take their dogs to. Thank you for your consideration.
I wanted to tell you that we have a Parks and Recreation Master Plan that's being contemplated with public input in the future. The part of the beach is part of the parks, so that has been brought up. It hasn't been determined yet, so there hasn't been a decision on that. So you might look in the future for notices for the, public meetings for the master plan.
Yeah, I'm at
And
1615 Las Bolas right there at Hanson Park, just around the corner from Ellie's.
you could also write in, send an email to our Parks and Rec and ask that to be included for comments for the master plan.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Before you sit down, sir, you're aware of Dog Patch down at San Onofre State Beach?
Yeah, but I'm right there at North Beach. It's so much closer.
Well, and then on a separate issue, entirely unrelated. so
I know, but there is a dog beach.
Dogs
there.
aren't allowed on city beaches. So what happens on private beaches is what happens on private beaches. So if you're aware of any private beaches there in the North Beach area.
No, I'm not aware of any private beaches in the north.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Let's come forward. Okay, thank you. Hello, my name is Lynn Stanley. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for letting me bring my issues forward. I'm a entertainer. I'm a traveling jazz singer, and I do tour the world. I live up here on the street on San Clemente, and one of the things that's recently happened to me is my property next door to me was going over a renovation. While that was happening, I was gone, or part of it, at the end of it, I was gone, and I came back to find a major block of concrete wall sitting next to the wall that's separating our properties. That caused me to have a little worry because it was nearly 5 feet tall and looking right into my backyard. I then approached the city and asked them if they could tell me what my lot lines were, so that I could find out what exactly I could do about it. I came to find out at that during that process that the city's map of my property line indicated that the gentleman and my wall was actually 2 feet in from my actual property line. It was built in 2003, and apparently during those times, they didn't have an L-shape foundation block that they have today. So what I did is I had to hire a surveyor. What I was told by the city is that when you build a home or you do have a renovation, it's up to the responsibility of the homeowner to present the property as it should be, and that the council or the planning department simply assumes that they're correct when they present their information. So when I hired a surveyor, I had him come out this week, and I have found that there's, with all of us who have had properties, I purchased my home in 2012. However, it's been around since the early 70s, 60s. And there's almost on one side an 11 feet, I'm not talking inches, feet differential between where the fence is. On one side, there's a 10-foot differential on the other side. What my surveyor had a horrible time doing is finding the markers on the property. And I'm wondering if there's possible that the agenda could be brought forward, that the council asks the county, could they please come back out again and offer to residents the possibility of getting our lot lines markers reestablished. What happened when I live on Avenida Presidio. What happened back then is that when they were first built, the homes, there was no sidewalk. And therefore, the markers that are typically on sidewalks that help the surveyors know what they're doing are not there. So what happened is my surveyor had to go all over to try to get markers to do his delineations. It took him twice as long. It cost me twice as much money. And I'm here defending my property, only to find out that the encroachment and the property is now in pending sale. So there's an encroachment on my property line, which I have to address quite away. So that was one thing.
Can you get to number 2 really quick, the speed
Yes.
bumps?
Last thing is, could it be possible that the council would think about getting speed bumps on Avenida Presidio? We get racing all the time. Our homes are right next to the street, and it's impossible, at night especially. I hope that maybe you might consider doing that.
Do you have a comment?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Have you reached out to engineering? Because they will come out and do a speed bump survey. We have a very clear methodology to where we put speed bumps in, where we don't, and they'll come out and study the roadway and see if it qualifies under our existing ordinance.
I don't know how to do that, so.
I do have your contact number.
Yeah.
I thought that required a petition
Yeah,
from
there's a whole process. It's very
Yeah.
well outlined on how to do
So
it.
Your
what do I
neighbors
do?
have to get involved and sign a petition.
Oh, do they? How many do you need? Just a question.
What it's called is traffic calming,
Okay.
and we have a toolbox, and you need 20 on the petition, but the city manager can contact you.
Yeah.
Yes.
The city engineer contact you about the process,
Thank you.
about the markers.
Right.
His name is Tom Bonnigan.
Okay. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. Okay, that's it, Joanne. That's no more cards?
Could we have a motion to waive reading in full of all resolutions?
Motion by Brown, second by Doncheck. All in favor? Aye. Passes 4-0.
Before we get to closed session, City Attorney, I would just like to ask that we bump up item number 7B, which is Miramar Events and Theaters. And
I'd like to say something about that. We did that last time, and members of the public actually showed up later, at a later time. So I don't know that I would rather do that again.
is there anybody here to speak on the Miramar Theater item? 2? Okay, I was just trying to
There
be
are
kind
two.
to the people that are in the audience, but if you guys want to wait, then that's fine with me as well. won't
I
take
wasn't
offense
aware
to
anyone was in the audience.
My motion being shut down.
George, you were the one that showed up last time late, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
on purpose, like,
Right. All right. So since we see people in the audience.
Let's do this. How about this? George and Larry, either of you commenting on any other items this evening? No, is there any other items you're going to comment on this evening?
I'll be back.
Yes, he will.
No.
No, just that item. So maybe we hear that item and we allow the other people to comment during oral communications part 2 if they come.
Okay. So we're moving it up.
Yeah, so my motion stands, I guess, if there's a
Okay.
second. Okay.
Motion by Ham, second by Brown. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 4-0.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll move that, we're moving 7, I think it's 7B. Yeah. We'll be moving that up to beginning. All right.
So we're going to do
So-
it now?
No,
Or-
now we're on
City Attorney?
city attorney.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. The council took no reportable action in closed session. If you were here earlier, there was a matter of significant exposure to litigation that was added at the beginning, but there was no action taken on that item either.
Okay. 7B?
Joanne, did we hear that before the consent calendar?
It's whatever you want.
I think we,
Yeah, let's just get it done.
okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
so we're going to hear 7B.
Okay. And this is a continued public hearing to consider a request for an historic property preservation and parking waiver incentive agreement for the rehabilitation and adaptive reuse of the historic Miramar Theater into a performing arts and event center and the historic bowling alley into a culinary eatery.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, we have quite a few in the audience. Okay. Right. We're actually going to continue this item to the second meeting of October, which I believe is October 17th. And so I'll make that, we need a motion on that?
Before we do that, let's hear.
You want to hear it first? Okay. So
Yeah,
knowing
I
that,
think the intention, Mayor, is just so that everyone is aware that we will not be voting on this item tonight. It's being continued, but we would love to have your comments for the record You're here, you took the time to come out, so we should hear those items. And then ultimately, if we do continue it, then that'll be part of the record for the continuance as well.
Okay.
And,
Will that
as-
record continue over?
Yeah, well-
At a future meeting?
Yes.
Will my record, thank you very much.
and also, if you choose to delay your comments until you've had the benefit of the staff report and the applicant, yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to call the following people. Please line up. Lee Van Slyke, Dina Van Slyke, Larry Culbertson, and George, you're last. George Gregory. It's how I got him. I don't flip him around.
That's what I like. Being approved.
Lee Van Slyke. I'm going to give you a little more time this evening, but not speaking tonight. I'll see you on the 17th. Thank you for the courtesy. My wife's not here yet, and I know she'll want to prepare as well, so we'll see you then. Thank you.
Larry Culbertson, representing the Historical Society. The idea of incentivizing historic preservation is widely supported. There's no serious opposition to it. The Miramar Event Center and restaurant is a fantastic project you've already approved. It's an extremely worthy project for considering for this program. The traffic study, I've read the report. The traffic studies confirm that there's not going to be a problem. If there is a problem down the road, you've set up a procedure to take care of it. So I say, please just do it. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gregory.
Oh, Mr. Swartz didn't make it today. George Gregory, criminal of North Beach. I have a ladder on my truck, taking away my parking spot. We're going to give it to the owners of the Miramar Theater. They've been so good to my community, they've really kept my property values up there. As a matter of fact, all the tongue wagging about the Miramar, if it was paint scrapers, the thing would be Bristol. I'd like to inform the city council that performing arts centers are not the key to success of a community. Let's remember LA's next to Skid Row. Would you want that Skid Row in front of your house, Chris? What if the Performing Arts Center was Ralph's grocery store? How many patrons do you think are in the grocery store at any time, Mr. Brown? 50? Maybe 100? What if there's 4 times as many people going there just for the concert, not to consider the 5 restaurants? Where would the parking be in front of your house? 5 restaurants. A restaurant takes an awful lot of employees. The worst restaurant in the world takes 5 at any shift. Most take 20. 92 parking waivers will not even cover the employees. Now, we know the employees will show up for work and they'll park in the neighborhood because they're not about to park in the city lot because it costs money. And the owners of these restaurants aren't about to buy parking passes for their employees. Heck no. They want it all. They want it all. 5 restaurants and 400-seat amphitheater. My gosh. And where do you party? You don't party in the parking lot. The man will get you. You party in the neighborhood. So now we're going to have all these partiers in our neighborhood, all these parked cars all day long, and the golden ticket is supposed to be a parking sticker. Now, who pays for that parking sticker? The citizens in general. Will we enforce it fairly, or will it be selective enforcement again like the ladder law? Pretty mean. And, you know, the thing is, if we did buy a pass for the employees, they would park in the city lot. I would hate to see somebody encumbered from just simply going to the beach or walking their dog because an employee's parked in the beach parking. The project is too big. Everybody wants the Miramar fixed. Or the guy ran out of town and sell the building to somebody who'll do something. But the threat of these huge subsidizations has driven the price of the Miramar up so astronomically that it's worth selling the equity in my property, my community. Now, I know there's not other people here with me because they're afraid to speak up. We're trying to get traffic calming. They're afraid of staff. Staff will tell you it has no bearing on anything. But as much as they try, it does have a bearing. So they're afraid to say anything. We got little kids running around there. Okay? People are trying to build their houses into something that fits their growing families. And they're afraid to speak up. Because why would it matter? The great and powerful Historical Society condones it. Remember all the money they spent on the tiled sidewalks. Remember Maxburg Park. Remember some of this stuff because it's really important. Is that the end of my time or my warning?
The red means you're done.
That's a shame. anyways, folks, please don't vote on it until something proper comes along. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we need a motion on that, Scott?
Yeah, I think
continue?
that'd be good for the record to have that continuance.
I'll move to continue the item. Do we need a date certain?
Ideally, then it won't need to be noticed.
Then I move to continue item the second meeting of this, which, no, I'm sorry. It would be the first meeting in October or the second?
Second.
Meeting of October.
I move to continue this item to the second meeting of October.
Okay, motion by Brown, second by Doncheck. All in favor? Passes 4-0.
And you left the public hearing open.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, that was
Yeah, you didn't close
Want
it.
to.
You didn't close it. You didn't close it.
Okay.
okay, so consent calendar?
All items listed on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion without discussion unless council, staff, or the public request removal of an item for separate discussion and action. The public has requested the removal of item F.
Okay. Chris? Okay, so the public's pulled item F. I don't have any. Is there a motion to?
Move the balance.
Second.
Motion by Doncheck, second by Brown. All in favor? Passes 4-0. Item F. Larry Culbertson.
I don't know, Larry, you said you didn't want to speak on any other items, so I feel like.
It's not what you said.
Eight other items. I said 8 other items.
Oh, 8 others.
Larry Culbertson, representing the Historical Society. I'm supportive of extending the contract for the planners. Yes, Chris. But Amber mentions in her report filling the vacant positions, that we're saving some money for that. Well, I don't think we're really saving in the long run. The existing plan, as we all know, we've lost over half of our planners in the past year. The planners that are left are fantastic. The contract planners that they're bringing in are very competent. Unfortunately, on several projects that I've attended the hearings on, they've shifted between several different planners. There's not one consistent planner. They've had 3 for Monterey, for example. And I don't think that's good for the historic resource. So what I'm here tonight to ask you to do is make sure that when they are hiring some more planners, they get one that's an experienced historic preservation planner. In the past, they've got somebody who was fresh out of college or didn't have much experience, and they put them through training, and eventually they came up to speed. We don't need that. We need to get somebody who's got some experience. It's important. We've got a lot of big projects that are happening. There's a lot of possible damage that can be done to our historic resources, so we really need to get a planner who has experience in it. So please see what you can do to make that happen. Thank you.
Okay, motion by Ham, second by Brown. All in favor? Passes 4-0.
Thanks, Larry.
Okay, returning to public hearings. The next is a public hearing to consider a complimentary service plan associated with the City of San Clemente's fixed route transit service in conjunction with the San Clemente Trolley, funded through the Orange County Transportation Authority and Project V.
Good evening, Mayor Ward and members of the council. Tom Bondigat, Public Works Director. So really briefly, this item is for the city to adopt a required plan, a plan that we're required to have that runs in parallel with the trolley service, because we are now considered a operator of a fixed route transit service. Because of the trolley and because of the ADA and what it requires, we have to have a complementary paratransit plan. As noted in the report, OCTA has been very adept and runs a program called Access throughout the county. So this plan essentially makes use of that program. It's run completely through OCTA. There aren't any billings or service calls that pass through the city. And OCTA has offered and agreed to do that. They also already do that, or will be doing that for the Dana Point and Laguna Beach trolleys. So this is just a necessary action we have to take. In my staff report, at the time of the report, I did mention that we had no public feedback. I believe after that time, you did receive an email from a citizen who had 3 or 4 comments or questions, all generally related to the same issue, and I think we've resolved that. I don't believe she's here tonight, but basically the issue had to do with her concern that in her case, she uses a mobility device that's not a wheelchair, it's a scooter, and there was some confusion about whether she could use that on the trolley. As you're aware, the trolley is, or all of the trolleys are equipped with ADA lifts, and we worked that out. She reported to us that she was successful in using it this weekend with her family. She was very pleased with it, so we got that ironed out with the operator, who in one case maybe thought it was literally just strictly limited to wheelchairs. So we're good there, I think, and she was very complimentary of her experience. So with that, if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them, but this is a report that, and a program we need to have in place, but it runs through the OCTA's Access Service, and they have good information on their website about how users who might want to avail themselves of that service can actually do so. That's my staff report.
Is there any questions for Tom? No? Motion?
Public hearing.
No cards.
You need to
Oh,
open
okay.
and close, but
Thank
there are
you.
no cards.
And as you clear your throat. So we have no cards, so I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing and close the public hearing since I see no one wanting to speak.
I'll make the motion. I think this is a really worthy addition to our trolley experience. So I move that we adopt staff recommendation, which is to adopt a complementary paratransit plan as required by the Americans with Disabilities Act and Orange County Transportation Authority 2017 Project V grant for fixed route local transit service, the San Clemente trolley.
Motion by Donchek, second by Ham. All in favor? Passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Next item is a report from the Assistant City Manager concerning the final water utility cost of service study and Proposition 218 notification.
Do we have any cards on this item?
No, sir.
No cards? Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Eric Sund, Assistant City Manager. So our last council meeting, we brought forward a draft water study and sought council's direction on the rates. Council gave direction to come forward with a uniform rate. So tonight you see the final water study before you, reflective of the uniform rate as well as the 218 noticing, which begins after tonight's council approval for a 45-day public review and comment period. We still have to come back to council with a hearing after the 218 noticing. One of the things I did want to point out, if Laura could pull it up really quick, is one of the things that we're going to be very strong about moving forward is public education and communicating to the public in as simple format as possible to let them know. We've dedicated a website that is completely for our 2017 water rate comparison. On here, you'll find the relevant agenda reports, you'll find the final water report, as well as the 218 noticing. And one thing I want to point out that I think is really helpful is we've created sample bills of the old bill of a standard class user in comparison to what the new increase would reflect. So we've got those up there to show the account holders the simple way of looking at their bill to understand this is where I would be today and where I would be in the future when the January 1st rates hit. With that, I will commit to doing some other noticing over the coming weeks. We'll be doing a public service announcement that'll be available on our website as well as our public access channel, and doing a very brief but simple explanation with regards to the water rate increase. Before I conclude, we have Carollo Engineering, who did the study, who are prepared to go over a PowerPoint similar to the PowerPoint you received last week. If you would like that, we can definitely do that. Otherwise, we would seek council's approval to move forward or address any questions that the council may have.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak about the water study?
I just have one question.
Wait.
Would it be like a top 10 tips for how to conserve water?
Can you come up to the microphone? And we're going to ask you to fill out a card real quick.
For later on.
Oh, okay.
We can use it for now.
We could use it for now, and I'll put both numbers on it.
Mayor, Council, my name's Derek Cahill. Is there I was just saying, top 10 tips that they can put on there for water conservation for homeowners? So I have 3 kids, we run the water all day long, so it'd be great. So.
Hey, I'd follow that same link too, my friend. I got crushes last month.
So we have that, but however, we'll make sure that those relevant links are on this page so that people can get to those pages to look at water conservation. Also, if they have a high water bill and want the water department to come out and audit their property to see if there's a leak or something that's contributing to that bill, we'll make sure that those resources are available on this website and can lead customers to that.
Mayor, it doesn't sound like a lot of the public is here tonight about this item, and I think we all got pretty exhaustive information last week. Maybe we should just have the PowerPoint uploaded to the website so that they'll have that information available.
It'll be up tonight.
And I feel comfortable making a motion on this.
With that, I move that we receive and the final water cost of service fee study, and to approve the Proposition 218 notice to be published for the November 7, 2017 public hearing regarding the proposed water rate structure changes.
Motion by Ham, second by, oh no, second by Doncheck. All in favor? You were on your.
Go ahead, please.
All in favor? Aye. Passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
By the way, Eric, thanks for doing those bills. I was going to forward that to a few friends who had asked me about this one, so I'm going to.
It'll be available on our homepage under latest news to get to that website.
Thank you.
Okay. Report from the Public Works Director, City Engineer concerning an updated engineering and traffic survey for posted speed limits on Camino del Rio, Camino de las Meras, and North El Camino Real.
Mayor, do we have any cards on this item?
No.
No cards on this item?
No cards.
Okay, that was a fantastic report by Mr. Vonnegut. I do want to make one comment, though, that great job on those El Camino Real improvements. They are absolutely amazing. I enjoy using them all the time, and the speeds out there seem to be relatively safe, especially compared to Dana Point when you have the cars zipping right by your head only 2 feet away. So thank you for that. And if there's no comments from the council, I will go ahead and make a motion. Yeah, I'll do it. I just want to give everybody an opportunity. Okay. Okay. Move that we accept the updated engineering and traffic surveys for Camino del Rio, Camino de los Mares, and North El Camino Real, and approve the posted speed limits on these streets accordingly. To introduce ordinance number 1646 entitled an ordinance of the City Council of the City of San Clemente, California, amending Chapter 10 of the Municipal Code concerning speed zones on El Camino Real. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, Camino del Rio. What did I say? El Camino Real.
You said El Camino Real. I just think we should let the public know we're setting the speeds on Camino del Rio.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
So motion by Ham, second by Brown. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
So efficient. Model efficiency.
Report from the Public Works Director, City Engineer concerning the Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017 and amendment to fiscal year 2018 capital improvement program.
Mayor Ward, do we have any cards on this item?
Joanne, we don't have any cards,
No,
correct?
we don't.
No.
Okay.
But this one I think we should hear about, because Senate Bill 1 is a big deal, and it's a game changer, and those in the community are going to feel it in their pocketbook pretty soon when their gas taxes, or when their taxes go up. Yeah, well, just on this one, because it's money coming into the city, but it's not, there's no such thing as free money, it's at the taxpayers'.
Right, well, with that segue, Mayor Ward and council members, Tom Bondigate again. So yes, however we individually feel about raised gas taxes, they will start increasing in November. They will affect gasoline, diesel taxes, increased registration fees, and then an additional fee on zero-emission vehicles. And then they'll be adjusted for inflation thereafter. But we will get some of that money back. There are a number of programs where the gas tax funds will go into. Most importantly and more directly for the city is there's an allocation formula, as I mentioned in the report. We expect this fiscal year to get about $375,000, an estimated $1.1 million in fiscal year 19, plus 3 years of repayment funds where the state borrowed prior gas tax monies for other issues, and that's now going to be repaid. So, as I mentioned in the report, it works very similar to the existing gas tax. It has increased transparency and reporting requirements, which is why we're recommending creation of a new fund to closely track that and segregate this flavor of gas tax money. And as I noted in the report, we're required to let the California Transportation Commission know which projects we'll be using the funds on. And so I've made the recommendation based on a currently approved project, and then I think the timeline for fiscal year 19 will match with our budget process. We'll provide a more comprehensive program to give you a 3-year outlook using all of our general fund, Measure M, and 2 flavors of gas tax monies on what we're going to do in streets and transportation. But for our immediate need for this fiscal year, my recommendation is that alley project. I just want to let you know that what the city could be expecting with those increased gas taxes, and it'll really help with our transportation efforts. And because of your leadership in the past, we are in a really good position because of our overall pavement quality index that we will have flexibility to expand into some other transportation initiatives allowed by the act where some other cities would only be strictly limited to road maintenance. So with that, I'm happy to answer any other questions.
I just wanted to make a couple comments. This is Senate Bill 1, and it has bearing on some of our toll road discussion, because this is all about, the nickname for the bill is Fix It First. And as you see in our staff report, it's for road maintenance, road rehabilitation. Our paseos, our alleys, are an excellent application of the money because they're degraded and could stand maintenance. But this is all about maintenance. And and the other thing I wanted to share, which I know you already know, but OCTA is volunteering to make the process as easy as possible for the 38 cities in Orange County. So if there's any bureaucracy or form filling out, they are offering to help, as is ACCOG.
No other comments for staff, questions? No? Anybody would like to read the?
I'll read this. And before I do, by the way, that tax is 12 cents, right?
It's a lot of different flavors, but on the base excise tax on gasoline, yeah, it'll go up 12 cents starting November 1st. Diesel fuel excise and sales taxes will go up. There's price-based tax as well that kicks in 2019. And like I said, also vehicle license fees. So it's a lot of different, but basically what most of us will see on November 1st is a 12-cent increase per gallon.
Per gallon.
On regular gasoline.
Yeah, it's severe. Yeah. All right.
Hold on one second.
I do have a question.
Oh, no, you didn't fill out a card,
Well, I have
right?
a card up there, but I have to fill out another card.
Did you fill it out for this?
No.
Okay, because we asked if anyone wanted to speak on this. And
Well, I didn't know about some of the information, so I just heard it.
all right.
That's the hard part, right?
All right, no, come on up really quick.
I mean, it's a simple question.
No, you need to come up because we can't have you saying things. Wait till you get to the microphone, because no one at home can hear you until you're at the microphone.
That's probably
All right,
good.
thanks.
All right. Derek Cahill. So one thing on the gas tax, can it only be used related to roads, or is the bill that this is related to stipulate? Because the main problem to me is the sand on our beaches, and that's our main road in our town where everybody walks. And, I think we should use the money towards that, not towards our roads. People walk, they ride their bikes, they're at the beach in this town.
Regrettably, no.
Tom, you're always giving us answers we don't want to hear. I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
Just to be clear, he filled out a card for this item or for a different item?
Joanne, we need another
Yeah,
card.
we do. Thank you.
It would help with our records. Thank you.
I move that we accept staff's recommendation, which is number 1, direct staff to create a new fund number 011 titled Gas Tax Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Account, or take similar actions to appropriately receive, segregate, and track anticipated future state gas tax, RMRA, revenue and expenditures. Number 2, accept anticipated FY 2018 gas tax RMRA revenue of about $374,000 into the new gas tax RMRA fund account 011-000-33535. Number 3, we accept anticipated FY 2018 gas tax loan repayment revenue of about $76,000 into the existing gas tax 012 fund. Number 4, that we adopt resolution number 17-31, entitled "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of San Clemente, California, amending the fiscal year 2018 capital improvement program to include public alley rehabilitation using funds from the State of California Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017, SB 1. Finally, number 5, approve a supplemental appropriation of $374,000 from the gas tax RMRA fund to the fiscal year 2018 alley rehabilitation project account 011-864-45300.
Motion by Donchak, second by Ham. All in favor? Passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Oral Communications Part 2, I do have a card.
Mr. Cahill, would you like to speak again on Oral Communications Part 2?
You on the lights?
Okay, come on up.
All right.
We want to make sure everyone at home hears your question, because they might have the same question.
I have a lot of
you do.
questions. So, Derek Cahill.
Before you start this time, Joanne, let me just outline some issues, because you've been very vocal this evening, which is awesome, by the way, so thanks for coming out. So typically, we don't like people to speak from the audience for 2 reasons. One, as the mayor pointed out, it gives people the opportunity at home to hear, A, who you are, and then B, more importantly, what you're saying. The second issue is we try to run an orderly meeting here, and so if we allow just everybody to shout out from the audience, we wouldn't get anything accomplished.
Got it.
So we appreciate you abiding by the rules and submitting a card for every item.
Got
Thank
it,
you.
no problem. On the lights, I live at 2161 Tecca, which overlooks kind of the outlet mall towards Dana Point, the Jim Johnson sports area. So I was wondering if the city has like a standard policy on lights, because it looks like an LA airport runway now out my backyard. The light pollution's terrible. Hermosa Bridge has one set of colored lights. The Jim Johnson Sports Park has another set of lights. The school has another set of lights. The bridges going to the outlet mall have another color of lights. And the outlet mall itself has a color of lights. And then the freeway just put in new lights that are like a white blue. I mean, it looks ridiculous. When I go to Irvine or other cities, I don't see the same problem. And I think the city needs to address it before they start just putting in the cheapest, whatever color lights they can on every project around town, because it looks terrible. It looks really bad.
Didn't we address this with the Jim Johnson with you previously?
Yeah, I mean, I brought it up and nothing was done. And then I was really disappointed because I was told at the last city council meeting I was at, again, 5-10 years ago, I mean, I've been in the spot 20 years at that house, you know, that lights would not go in at Jim Johnson. And that resolution was passed at that time. And then I was shocked one day to wake up to see lights there. You know, I was like, wow. And I was looking back through my notes and I was like, wow, is that a city council meeting where there wasn't supposed to be lights there? Now, originally, those lights, they had pre-bought those high night lights for fields, and they were going to be really tall and run late, but the field's only for younger kids, so they weren't going to have the lights on very late, only till like 8 o'clock or something. And then they ended up moving those lights to San Gregorio, and you know all the problems that happen at San Gregorio with those lights, and it's kind of a shame. Those people at San Gregorio that live around there, those lights just blast like right into their house. It's terrible. So that's another set of lights actually I see from my house as well. I mean, I see like 6 different color lights from my house. It's really bad. And I you know, come over to my house afterwards or whatever any night, get you a beer or something, some wine, and take a look at the sunset. But the lights are really bad. The light pollution's terrible.
It looks like Mr. Bonnigan wants to say a couple words.
Yes, we'll go ahead and ask staff to come up.
Okay.
And Tom, if you could address a couple things. First of all, maybe our dark skies ordinance, and then talk about lighting at the outlet mall, because I thought that we had, you know, I know there's a lighting plan and we've been monitoring that. So I don't know if there's a need to go back and re-inspect some of the lighting for the outlet mall.
So the outlet mall lighting comes up from time to time, and we have provided, under the building department's lead, information explaining, you know, what standards those were approved under, how they meet, you know, dark skies with down lighting on the buildings and so forth. And so that project had to meet, at least at the time when it was finally constructed, it was updated to the latest building code, which includes standards for lighting. There's a green code, and we could probably find the report from the building official that went through that, because we have, and your council has heard from time to time concerns about, well, it's too bright, and we showed how it met that code. which was the most rigorous at the time. So we could find that information, but that's sort of the capsule summary about the outlet lighting. Now, the color, those are largely, if not exclusively, high-pressure sodium lights, kind of the orange-yellow color. You know, different projects, different buildings happen at different times, things change, and so to get everything to always match, we don't control what Caltrans does, and it is true that they are now going to the LED lights as well, like we are. In fact, we just replaced the 2 lights on the Vista Morosa Bridge. One had a problem, so there's one there, and it's our warmer white LED light, which generally matches, but not exactly, the Caltrans lighting that they put in. So that's what I can tell you there. You mentioned dark skies, and in our general plan, we have general plan policies and goals, dark skies, and in fact, our LED street lighting project was designed specifically to comply with that in terms of downlighting and minimizing light trespass, and that now is a goal and a standard that's applied consistent with whatever city policies and state building code requirements there are to try and apply that uniformly through projects in town. And then finally, there's a question about Jim Johnson Sports Park, and it's only partly true that there was not lighting. The discussion was specifically on sports field lighting, on the tall tower lighting, and that's the lighting that ultimately a prior council, based on community input, said, okay, we're not going to do that, so we won't light up the fields with the tower lighting. But there was never discussion or never agreement or never a direction to omit all lighting, and that park does have parking lot lights and pathway lights. And we have worked, I was managing that construction based on feedback from particularly the Via Socorro neighbors to put shields on those decorative lanterns to cut down the light that spilled off the park site onto the Socorro property. So those are some of the questions I heard. I'll be happy to try and answer any others.
Did we move lighting from there to San Gorgonio?
Did we move lighting?
There was something said about that we moved lights that were supposed to be at this park to San Gorgonio.
San Gorgonio has had sports field lighting, and it's had pathway lighting for many, many years. So there wasn't anything that was moved from one to the other. We did a project to upgrade the pathway lights to kind of match the upside-down J hook that you have on the pier and on the beach trail between Linda Lane and the pier. And I'm not familiar with any recent work on the sports field lighting, but that lighting's been there for quite some time.
No other questions? Thank you for clarifying that, Tom. Did you watch him like give a hand signal? Okay,
I
so
screamed at it.
you need to fill out a card.
Oh, come on, you can use my old number. I'll fill out a card. Larry Culbertson. This is an issue that's bothered me for quite a long time. I think for the past 6 years for the Historical Society, I've been the preservation chair. And in that capacity, I would look at the city council agenda, see if there was anything related to historic preservation, tune up on it and comment or write a letter or whatever. And then I started going to design review to try to get a little bit of a head start before it got to the I would go to Planning Commission, and then I would go to Design Review, and about 2 years ago, I found out that there was a design management team every Thursday morning, and any plan that's been submitted for the previous week is submitted to that design management team. Well, that design management team is not publicly noticed. There is public notice, 300-foot radius for the Planning Commission, and I think possibly Design Review, but the trouble is that DMT is not publicly noticed. So the problem is, as happened last Thursday, I'll give the specific example. We have 2 very important historic homes up on La Cuesta, and there's a vacant lot between the 2. A big project came in for that lot, and as far as I know, nobody in the community was notified, and I don't think it's right. I think that we should continue the 300-foot notification for planning, City Council, and I think Design Review, but for the DMT, when somebody submits a plan, as soon as it goes to DMT, the immediate neighbors, the abutting neighbors, should get a courtesy call or courtesy letter. It wouldn't be any big cost, but the trouble is when a project starts moving forward, when you suddenly find out about it and it's been going through the pipeline for 3 months, it's pretty hard to I hate to say fight it, but if you have concerns or something that you want to see changed, it's hard to get that changed after it's already been so far through the process. So what I'm saying is I'd like to see earlier notification for the abutting properties. Thank you.
Go ahead.
First off, Lord knows.
If we're going to talk about this, I'm going to
yeah.
have to recuse myself because you mentioned my property by name. So,
Yeah.
so we
Well, I
just
don't
take
want
the oral
to-
communications and move on?
We can, but why are we talking about a specific property?
Well, I wanted to address
Just talk
the
about the
DMT.
design management team.
Yeah. So I've heard
I'm
this.
going to recuse myself, so let me know when you're done.
Can, yeah, if it's not talking the abstract, but just to be sure. Yeah, we can't discuss it anyway, but we can have a brief response about it.
Okay. Do you have a brief response?
Yeah, I was just going
Okay.
to say, I've heard this concern brought up multiple times. I'd just like to hear from staff on their thoughts on it. Are we required to notice for it? If we're not required to notice for it, why don't we notice for it? And would there be an increased cost to the applicant if we did?
As to the costs and policy issues, I don't know. We can get to that, but the California Government Code does require notices within so many feet of applications, but this one is a subordinate. It may have big effects, but it's not required to be noticed under the Government Code, like zone changes, conditional use permits, or variances. But the city could adopt a local policy prescribing notice if it wanted to.
James, do we have a staff member here that could answer some more detailed questions about the DMT?
I think we could get Cecilia out here to talk about it.
Yeah, awesome.
I was looking for her. I think that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to know is, can we clarify what the design management team actually is for the public too? Okay, so can you?
It's basically, my understanding, I don't sit in on the DMT meetings, it's basically a staff function to take a look, give a cursory glance at a project, see what things they should submit to do a complete application process so that staff can run it through without any issues and holdups, and just make sure it's a complete application. You know, I believe engineering sits in on it and other departments. It's just a staff-driven thing to make sure that applications are complete, so there's no misunderstanding.
Plus, isn't it just for a
So it's not
calendar?
exterior facing at all? No.
It's not my understanding is it's not a, you know, it's not a meeting that goes to, you know, how something is designed, how, you know, what color it is, you know, what are the setbacks, that sort of thing. It's just more, you know, what do we need to make a complete application from the developer, the project manager, whatever.
Isn't it more for scheduling too? Trying to figure out timelines. That's what I always thought it was.
I think that's an element too.
Mayor, I was talking with legal counsel. I'm going to request that we just have a white paper on the DMT
Yeah.
on what they do and how they operate, how often they meet, all that
We
stuff.
can do that.
And just give it to the council, and if that time we deem that we need to bring up an issue with it, then we can do so.
You could do it as a bring back. Thank you.
No, I would agree. I just wanted to
Okay.
know what it was.
You good with that,
Okay.
James? Okay.
All right. Let's move on.
I hate to do this to you guys. Before we close oral communications part 2, I noticed people walked in the back. Did you guys have anything you want to speak on this evening? Yeah, so if you'd like to speak on it.
We just want to be positive on it, so did you vote yes?
So we voted to delay the discussion until October 17th.
Can I speak on it? Just
Absolutely, you can. You could grab a card real quick for us?
Sure, sorry, Chris.
It's okay. Lori, while you were gone, we requested a white paper on the DMT.
Functions. The
Yeah.
development management team. Yep. You can fill out that card after if you want to come on up.
All right, good, so that's to save you guys time. All right, I thought it would last longer, these meetings always go so long.
Don't tell people.
I know.
We've been trying to run an efficient meeting tonight.
Oh.
So please state your name.
I'm Gail Higgins, and I'm here with my husband Hal, and, thank you, sorry. We live on Buena Vista, right overlooking the Miramar Theater. So I just wanted to state that I make a point of looking at the parking on the 4th of July, on Labor Day, and on Memorial Day, because I've always heard that there's no parking. And so I always like to see on the worst days of the year what it's like down at, on the beach parking near Miramar. I have never seen in 8.5 years of living above it, the parking lot full on the busiest days of the year. The parking tends to be full around the corner that I live near Via Sacramento, but down near the Miramar, I think there's plenty, and we would be directly affected by the sound and everything, and we still think it's an amazing idea to do it. So we just wanted to come and state that we hope that we go forward with waiving the parking, because, again, the parking rules were put into place after, or excuse me, way before, or excuse me, after the availability of parking was done for the theater in that area. In other words, right now we have different rules that would have existed at the time. So, that's it. Thank you.
Can you give your card to staff? Thank you. Thank you very
And
much.
what was explained earlier was the item's been continued to the second meeting in October, and your comments will be part of the public record at that time.
Great, and I'm sorry for being late. I just didn't think we'd get to it this early.
Okay.
Okay, next item is consideration of appointing a representative and alternate representative to the Transportation Corridor Agency San Joaquin Hills Board. And that was agendized by Mayor Ward.
Okay. I had asked for this a while ago. I would like to see another council member represent the city on the San Joaquin Hills, which is the 73 board, and that I would continue on the 241 Foothill Eastern. So I think Councilmember Swartz is not here, but he's the alternate.
Yeah. So I move that we appoint Councilmember Shorts to the San Joaquin Hills TCA Board.
I'll second that. Has he indicated one way or the other on this item?
Yeah, he made mention to it
Okay,
previously.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Ham.
Want to appoint an alternate also, or just a representative?
No, just him.
No, because if
Okay.
he couldn't make it, I would be there anyway, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So I've never missed one.
Okay.
So maybe you're each other's alternates.
Okay, so
Okay, I
I amend
see
my
what you're
motion to
saying.
make Kathy Ward the alternate to Steve Shorts on the San Joaquin Hills Board.
Thank you.
I think
She
she already
is.
is.
He is,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, motion by Ham, second by Brown. All in favor?
Right.
Passes 4-0.
Okay.
Thanks for reminding me of that. I forget about the alternate.
City Manager, City Attorney,
Nothing more tonight.
council members.
Okay, go ahead, Lori.
And I arguably could have brought this up under TCA. At the last OCTA board meeting, as a receive and file item, we considered the status of the project study report to take the I-5 carpool lanes from Pico down to the San Diego County line. And what I'd like to request, Mayor, is that we agendize that as an item, as a special presentation item, and have OCTA come down to San Clemente and walk our community through what the current status is on the alternatives they're looking at, and with a specific request that they share traffic counts now that the green alignment's been taken out of the South County planning, traffic projections that are being used to generate the need for this project, project timing, and also how this important piece of the freeway would fit into the long-range transportation plan.
If we're going to do that, I have two asks, Lori. So in the long-range transportation plan that you guys did in 2015, there was two projects that were kind of mentioned in the same vein. The first one was the HOV lane that you just
Right.
mentioned. The second one was the ECR overpass realignment.
Yes.
So I would ask that they bring that forward as well, at least some sort of detailed description.
So the ECR overpass is a Caltrans project. So we could invite Caltrans to talk on that, and that's a good idea, but that's outside of this work plan of the
It was
OCTA.
mentioned in the OCTA's LRTP, so my concerns are what their investment
All right, well, let's
is
see
in.
if they can bring it along. But no, it's a Caltrans-funded, Caltrans-executed program, but sure, we could have that covered as part of the conversation.
My second ask would be that You know, in the south end of town, space is very limited, and so any expansion of any services on the 5 freeway would probably incur some serious property takings. And so what that looks like, I would like that to be part of it as well, because I think that'll dictate whether or not I'm going to be supportive of something like that. The cool thing is, in the long-range transportation plan, you know, the OCTA stated that it's probably not necessary to have it done, but it's, you know, something to look at nonetheless. So.
Well, that's in the traffic counts they shared with the board. It would be a nice to have, but not a must have, because we've got capacity. But I'd like the community to see and hear. And also, it's pretty significant that the green alignment will now be out of the program in terms of moving traffic around.
I think that's great for OCTA to come, and I think once our residents see that that's on the agenda, we'll have a lot of activity and questions. Okay. Did you have anything?
Yeah, two things. One, 2 weeks ago, the Tritons hosted First Responder Night at the state champion Tritons, I should say. The football team hosted the First Responder Night down on the field, and that was a fantastic event. We had a great turnout. A bunch of old retired San Clemente firefighters showed up, and of course we had our chief of police over there, Mr. Peters, and all his buddies. And they got a little wily with their stickers, I might add. But it was a great event nonetheless. Yeah, and it was a ton of fun. Chick-fil-A donated dinner, so that was neat. And it rained on us. It was a fantastic game, and we were able to attend last week's game as well, which was a blowout between them and was it Marietta Valley, who was at our CIF championship game last year. That's a good team. Yeah.
Marietta Valley.
Yeah. Yeah. Did I say Moreno Valley?
You said Marino.
I've said that like 3 times
Yeah,
already.
that's
Moreno,
easy.
Marietta.
You won't forget
You know.
Marietta Valley once you try to drive on the 15.
Yeah,
You'll know
exactly. So it was a ton of fun. And then the other thing I want to update was, as a representative of the DBA, I've been attending the DBA meetings, and we've been working on not only increasing the number of events that we're doing in the downtown that benefit the community, but also making the events that we do have down there more cost effective. So I'm on a event subcommittee, and we're working through ways to do that. So hopefully the costs incurred by the community will be reduced while making the events even better. So
I don't have anything.
I do have one more thing. Bob Hayden celebrated his 100th birthday last week, and the mayor was kind enough to sign and create a proclamation for him, and he asked me to express his gratitude, and it was an amazing thing to see the sense of humor this 100-year-old brings to our city. Really special man. As funny. It would be a laugh riot having the two of them in the same space.
Okay, next item is ordinance 1645,
Before you
second
read-
reading.
before you read that, I'm going to recuse myself for the same reason I recuse myself from initial reading.
Okay. I move that we adopt ordinance number 1645 entitled, an ordinance of the City of San Clemente, California, amending subdivisions D1, D5, E1, and E4 of Section 1756-100 of Chapter 15, 1756, Title 17 of the San Clemente Municipal Code relating to emergency shelters pursuant to an addendum to previously certified San Clemente Centennial General Plan Environmental Impact Report, State Clearinghouse Number 201-304-1021.
Motion by Brown, second by Doncheck. All in favor? Passes 3-0. 3-0-1. Thank you.
All right. I also move that we adjourn to the next regular council meeting that will be held on October 3rd, 2017 in council chambers located at 100 Avenue Presidio, San Clemente, California. Closed session items will be considered at 5 p.m. The regular business meeting will commence at 6 p.m.
Motion by Brown, second by Doncheck. All in favor? Passes 4-0. Good night, everyone.
Yes.